If you want the Raiders to hire Antonio Pierce and keep Maxx Crosby, click that subscribe button because guess what? We have something in common. I want the silver and black to give AP a shot. Hashtag hire AP. I obviously don't want 98 to go anywhere. However, my job here on this show is to be able to break down the latest news and rumors, and we're going to talk a little about everything going on around Maxx Crosby and all these trade rumors. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up, I have 5 trade ideas involving Maxx Crosby if the Las Vegas Raiders do not hire Antonio Pierce and he demands a trade. Just so you know, and I'm going to probably have to say this over and over and over again, and I can already see Twitter, Instagram, social media. Did you guys see Mitchell Renz wants the Raiders to trade away Maxx Crosby? I don't want the Raiders to trade Crosby. But I do want to show people what his trade value is. And for anybody out there who's like, Mitch, it's never going to happen. I've heard it's never going to happen around Khalil Mack. I've heard it's never going to happen around Devontae Adams. Bottom line is this. In the NFL, anything can happen. So if you missed the show that I did over the weekend, Ian Rapoport said that Crosby will explore a trade request if Antonio Pierce isn't retained and he isn't kept by the Las Vegas Raiders to be head coach. We know that Crosby has said that he wants to be a Raider for life. He told me over the weekend he wants to be a Raider for life. He's got it tatted on his arm. He's got a great relationship with Mark Davis. He tweeted out, hire AP on Friday. Like, this is not a Maxx Crosby doesn't want to be a Raider. This is Maxx Crosby doesn't want to have his time waste. There is nothing more valuable in your life than time. And if you don't feel like you're going anywhere because this organization take steps back, if you're Crosby in the prime of your career, now is probably a time, if you don't keep Antonio Pierce, that you could potentially explore a trade. Now, I know a lot of people are still asking me, Mitch, are the Maxx Crosby trade rumors true? Yes. I mean, I don't even see how you could debate whether they're true or not. And the reason why that I say that, Crosby on his own podcast said that he would be open to anything or everything's on the table, anything's possible. And the reason why I'm saying that it's 100% true is here's a photo of Ian Rapoport, okay? Quote tweeting his initial report, which said Maxx Crosby will explore a trade request if Antonio Pierce isn't retained. So everybody wondering, well, how did Ian Rapoport get that information? I'll tell you, one of Maxx Crosby's teammates, or not teammates, part of Maxx Crosby's team, whether that's his agent, whether it was Maxx Crosby himself, talked to Ian Rapoport, and then Rapoport knew that Crosby was getting ready to go live on his podcast and put the link in there. Like, I'm telling you right now, Crosby and his team talked to Ian Rapoport or sources close to RapSheet, because Max saying all things are on the table tells me what Rap reported was 100% true, 100% accurate, and Crosby talked to Ian Rapoport. And again, this is not a Crosby doesn't want to be in Las Vegas. Crosby simply wants stability. Think about all the different head coaches he's had. Think about all the different defensive coordinators he's had. Think about all the bullshit that number 98 has had to deal with since being drafted by the Raiders in 2019. And I'm talking not just the bullshit on the field, the bullshit off the field as well. It has been a roller coaster ride since he has come to Oakland, then gone to Las Vegas. It has been a roller coaster. He wants stability. Will he get it? I think the way that you're going to get it is if you hashtag hire AP. But what do you guys think here? What are the chances the Raiders trade Maxx Crosby? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, and I want you to scale it from 1 to 100. Or if you're like Mitch, 0% chance, you can type 0 as well. What are the chances the Raiders trade Maxx Crosby? As it stands right now, I would say that there is a 1% chance that the Raiders trade Crosby, and that's more just because I'm very confident that the Raiders are going to go and they're going to hire Antonio Pierce because of everything I hear, because a lot of the rumors that are out there, and because smoke, fire, it's starting to trend towards AP to be that guy. But, let's be real here. If the Raiders decide to go in a different direction, if you decide to not bring in AP, maybe AP gets a better opportunity somewhere else he feels. I mean, he's already been interviewed by multiple NFL teams for head coaching openings. So then, if Antonio Pierce isn't the head coach of the Raiders, I would say then it goes all the way up to a 40% chance that Maxx Crosby would be traded. He still would want to stay, but there's going to be NFL teams calling the Raiders left and right. And if you're a brand new team and you look at Crosby and you're like, well, wait a minute, I might be able to get 3, 4 first-round picks. A new head coach might take that opportunity. It's going to be something to monitor. Also, something I always want to keep you guys in the loop about are our awesome sponsors. And one of the reasons why I love Prize Picks is because Prize Picks is the most fun I've had in a long time, especially during this playoff run. Now, yesterday, for those of you that do not know, or 2 days, depending on when you watch this video, the Cowboys-Packers game brought me so much joy. Not only did I win $50, I also was able to watch my fiance have a meltdown watching her Cowboys lose to the Green Bay Packers. It brought me so much happiness. Here's the thing, though. I haven't won every single game that I have put money down during the playoffs, but no matter what, it's 3.5 hours of just pure entertainment, you rooting on your players. And if you're like, Mitch, what is Prize Picks? It's daily fantasy sports made easy. All you got to do is pick 2+ players, choose more or less, and you can put some money down. You have an opportunity to make up to 25 times your money. It is the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there, and I tell people this, if my dad can do it, you can do it as well. Heck, if you even need to put more money into your account, it's super, super simple and easy to do that. Like, I just put an extra $100 in my account yesterday because I wanted to, put a little bit of money down for Alex and have all that kind of good stuff. So again, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Coming up here on the show, Maxx Crosby trade ideas. And when I did this show, I already knew that people were going to be super upset with me doing this. But the way that this show runs, and it's nobody's above the shield. That's even Maxx Crosby. And I know that if I were to be doing a show about anything else here at Chat Sports, if there's a trade rumor or if there's a potential that a player from the Raiders could be traded, one of the segments that I always do is 5 blockbuster trades. So, because nobody's above the shield, it's exactly what you're going to get here with Maxx Crosby. It is important to note, though, if Las Vegas does move on from the Condor, the Raiders saved $9.18 million in 2024, but you eat $15.3. So it's like, again, I don't want the Raiders to trade Maxx. If the Raiders end up trading Maxx, I said it before, I would want 4 first-round picks for him because, to me, he is arguably the best defensive end in the National Football League. He was second-team All-Pro. I think he should have been first-team because of what he does every snap, what he can do against the run. He's not just going out, getting after the quarterback. But to me, you get at minimum 3 first-round picks. Like minimum 3 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby. I personally, though, would want 4 because of what he is to this Raiders team, how he is the face of this franchise, what he brings on a daily basis on and off the field. Replacing a player like this, it's not easy on the field. It's even harder off the field and in that locker room. In his over the past 4 seasons, he was a rookie back in 2019 when he was incredible. But, I mean, look at these numbers. 14.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 90 tackles, 23 tackles for loss. He hustles. He's an absolute grinder. He's a baller. He does everything you could possibly want in a football player. Great leader, rocking that C on his chest. One of the best in the biz. It is important to note, though, these trades are based off true value. Not every trade you're going to see I would do. That's just me being real with you. So when I do this show here, a lot of the time, I always give trades like either that I'm 100% on board for or ones that I'm not. I'm telling you flat out, I don't want the Raiders to trade Maxx Crosby. However, some of the trades that you're going to see, I would do. There's one that I actually like. Some of the other ones, I'm just trying to base it on ideas, teams that I think that could trade for him, and just trying to better, cleaner picture overall of what a Crosby trade idea could potentially look like. All right, let's go to the first team here that I could see being interested, making a move for 98. It's the Chicago Bears. And to me, one of the top teams out there that I believe would be willing to trade for Crosby is Chicago. And it's because of the draft picks that they were able to bring in last year when they were trading with the Carolina Panthers, and now they have a little bit more to spend. So here's one trade idea that this is one that I think is more of what I think it would cost for the Raiders. This is me valuing Maxx Crosby the way that I value the Condor. Maxx Crosby goes to Chicago. Chicago also gets the number 13 pick, and I know there's going to be a lot of people out there like, Mitch, that's way too much. Here's the thing, man. For the Raiders to go to 13 all the way up to 1, I mean, you're looking at minimum 3 firsts, 3 seconds, and then a player that's a very good football player. So this deal here is actually a lot cheaper than I think what a lot of people would throw out there. But you got to hope that Chicago values Maxx a lot. So you get right here a 3rd-round pick. The Raiders also get the number 1 pick, and then Chicago ends up getting Crosby in the 2024s. But here's the thing, man. Like, I know that there's going to be people out there like, dude, that's way too much. Our Bears host, this is what he thinks a trade would look like. So as soon as you think like, oh, man, Mitch, you're giving up way too much, this is what Bears fans think, and this is what the NFL thinks of how valuable that number 1 pick is. And that's what I try to tell people a lot, right? Where the number 1 pick this year, because of Caleb Williams, because of Drake May, because of Jayden Daniels, because of those 3 quarterbacks, it's very expensive. And a Bears fan is sitting up here saying he wants Maxx Crosby, a 1st-round pick, and a 1st-round pick next year, and your 2nd-round pick this year. I'm telling you right now, this is a trade I would not do, but if you look at this value, this is actually very similar value to what the Carolina Panthers had to go and give up to get to number 1 last year. So it's a lot, but guess what? If you want to have a franchise quarterback, that's going to cost a lot. Here's my other trade idea, and this is one that I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say. Chicago gets Maxx Crosby. The Raiders get the number 9 pick, so the Bears still get to keep their number 1. The Raiders end up getting Justin Fields to be their quarterback, so a little bit cheaper there. The Raiders get to keep pick 13, so you would get pick number 9. You keep 13, you get Justin Fields, and then the way that I look at this trade and the reason why that I would entertain this idea is because if Justin Fields does not work out, well, then you have a 1st-round pick in 2 seconds in 2025. I would try to then package those 2 seconds to try to get up into the 1st round again and then potentially find a brand new quarterback. That's the second trade idea with the Chicago Bears. Let's go to another team here that I do think could potentially get a trade, but actually, if you guys are going to take time out of your day to watch my video, how about this? I want you to comment down below your trade ideas. What do you think? Any trade idea that you want? Raiders receive this. NFL team receives that. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say, even if you want to hit me up on IG or Twitter. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. Let's go to another team here. It's the Detroit Lions. And the reason why I'm throwing the Lions here into the mix is the team that Crosby grew up rooting for was the Detroit Lions. And he's got some ties, obviously, with him being up there in Eastern Michigan. But, like, yeah, I get it. He's a Raider at heart now, but there's always got to be that little bit of a wonder, could you play for the team that you grew up for rooting for as a kid? And the Lions, even though they don't have picks where the Raiders want high draft picks, this could be a little bit more of a reset. Could you potentially then go out and find a Russell Wilson? Could you then draft a Michael Penix Jr., a Bo Nix a little bit later on? But in this one, the Lions receive Crosby, and then the Raiders get 3 first-round picks. We obviously don't know where the Lions are drafting yet because they're still in the playoffs, but I'm going to anticipate this is a good football team. So when I look at these 3 first-round picks here, I'm anticipating that these 3 first-round picks in 2024, 2025, 2026 are going to be in the 20s. So the value is, I don't know if it's all there. Josh Paschal at defensive end, he's not going to get as much playing time. He was drafted in the 2nd round, I want to say 2 years ago. And then Jamison Williams, he's really just a speedster, but he's kind of the odd man out in that Detroit offense. And would the Lions be willing to give the Raiders a speedster at receiver? You get an extra defensive end to add a little bit more depth, and then you get 3 first-round picks. Let's go to my next trade idea here for the Condor. I just saw the Dark Swan said, please stop, I'm going to puke. Believe me, brother, I feel you. Let's go to the New England Patriots now. The Patriots are probably a difficult team to wrap your mind around in terms of making a trade. As we know, though, the NFL, the way that it works, the Raiders, a lot of times it's a who-you-know league, and I am a big believer that Dave Ziegler is going to be the general manager of the New England Patriots, which maybe means that he's not willing to trade with the Raiders because of how everything went down. Or Dave Ziegler is going to be like, I know what Maxx Crosby is, and I know how much I believe in him. Could that be a reason to make a trade? Let's get really wild, shall we? So here we go. the Raiders would get 3 picks in the 2024 draft. Number 3 overall. I'm just telling you right now, for the Raiders to go from 13 up to 3, that's basically 2 first-round picks to get up to number 3. Then you also get the second-round pick, number 34 overall, and you get a fourth-round pick at 103. You also get New England's first-round pick in 2025, and then a second-round pick in 2026. What do the Patriots get? Well, if they're going to give you pick 3, maybe Dave Ziegler, who was a part of the regime, and I actually think that it wouldn't surprise me if Josh McDaniels is the next OC for New England. Well, you guys wanted Aidan O'Connell, you can have them. So Maxx Crosby, Aidan O'Connell, they go to New England. They're not going to end up drafting a quarterback then, and now the Las Vegas Raiders have the opportunity to get Jayden Daniels and be able to build around him. The final trade idea that I have here for number 98 is the Green Bay Packers. And the reason why I'm going to throw the Packers here into this mix is because of the relationships Crosby and Rich Bisaccia had. And I think it just cannot go unnoticed. I mean, Max, when he was asked about the Raiders passing on Bisaccia over the weekend, he said, we really effed that one up. On top of that, you look at a lot of the past Raiders players are having a lot of success in Green Bay with Bisaccia. So who's somebody that's seen him up close in person a bunch? It's been Papa Bisaccia. So here's the Raiders trade. And the way that I do this one, to me, the Packers, again, they don't have like that high pick. And where it says 2024 picks, 25 and 88, I just want to throw that out. That's based on right now, technically, and the Packers are still playing. But the way that this is essentially shown on Tankathon is based on what the Packers' record is and where they are. It would be, just for example, 2025, or it would be pick 25. I thought it looked better than saying first-round pick in 2024 and a third-round pick, just so you could see the value. But the Raiders would get Rashawn Gary, who's a really good outside linebacker, defensive end. Obviously, he's not Maxx Crosby. But then you could also get Devonta Wyatt, who was a first-round defensive tackle from Georgia that Green Bay took. So the way that I look at this is I think Gary would probably go for a first and then some. Wyatt, he's a good defensive, he's a really good defensive tackle. So you get 2 instant starters on your defense, a first-round pick in 2024, and a third-round pick. Green Bay ends up getting Maxx Crosby. All right, here we go. One more time here. Crosby trade destinations. I think Chicago is a very likely destination. Bottom line is this, though. All 31 NFL teams would love to have the Condor on their team. Why? Because he's one of the best in the biz. So let's roll through this one more time here. The top 5 trade ideas that I threw together. Which trade would you even consider? If you're like, Mitch, I don't want any of these. Well, hey, you can say none. That's totally fine. If there is a trade idea that you like if I'm being 100% with y'all, trade idea 2 is the one that I personally like the most because I think it gives the Raiders the most flexibility in this year and in next year. What about trade idea 3 with the Detroit Lions? Throw it down there. I mean, if Jameson Williams can turn out to be a hell of a receiver, there's a little bit of value here. The one with the Patriots, this is probably my second favorite trade because this you're getting a franchise quarterback. Yeah, you're losing Aidan as a backup and you're losing Max, but you are going to get a franchise quarterback and you're stocking up this year and next year. And then trade idea number 5, if you really believe that the Raiders are a team that could potentially sign Russell Wilson in the offseason at $1.21 million, this is a deal that I would consider for the Silver and Black. But again, just so you know, I do not want the Raiders to trade Maxx Crosby. However, my job here is this. When there are rumors and when a player says, I would be open to the idea of a trade, my job here is to give you the overall analysis, but also the background information of how much it would cost and how much I would want for a player like Maxx Crosby. Again, I do not want the Raiders to trade Maxx Crosby.